Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. Well, many times I do national news stories, history stories, and occasionally I will do a St. Louis local story. And today will be one that's coming straight out of the St. Louis area. And I'll tell you what this story is about. So ever since the May 16th, 2025 tornado devastation in the central corridor of the city of St. Louis, and especially the extreme and/or severe damage of North St. Louis City, there have been a lot of abandoned buildings and homes, which has probably made it hard for mail carriers to deliver mail. So this story has to deal with a former St. Louis Postal supervisor who ended up pleading guilty to a check theft scheme totaling almost $400,000. So it's with these vacant buildings, and as a result of this tornado that has taken place, it's made it hard for mail carriers to know who to deliver the mail to or who not to deliver the mail to because of vacant or abandoned homes. It can be a little confusing for the post office and its workers. But there has been a string of federal cases targeting organized mail theft operations in the St. Louis area. And there have been recent cases of people dumping mail on vacant lots and alleys. Are these the local St. Louis postal workers who are doing this? Even St. is gotten all the way to Congress, because even St. Louis Congressman Wesley Bell has been outspoken about these mail situations, and he has demanded an internal U.S. Postal Inspection Service investigation along with the Fed's help. So messing with the mail is not a state crime, it's a federal crime. And if you do the crime, you better be ready to do federal time. We're talking 85% of your sentence. So let's get into this story about a former postal employee who admitted to stealing checks from the St. Louis mail. So if you live in the city and there's issues with your mail, there's a whole lot of plethora of things that are going on. The tornado, the chaos and disruption just with the U.S. Postal Service in and of itself. And then you have these mail check theft schemes that are going on, or identity theft that is going on with our mail. So a former U.S. Postal Service supervisor admitted stealing 89 checks from the mail. Benita D. Randall, 43, pleaded guilty in U.S. District Court in St. Louis to one count of theft of mail by a U.S. Postal Service employee. Also, John W. Harris, 26, of Blackjack, Missouri, pleaded guilty on February the 10th, 2026, to one count of possession of stolen mail matter. Benita Randall, was a supervisor at the St. Louis Processing and Distribution Center, which processes, sorts, and distributes all non-parcel mail for the St. Louis metropolitan area. She had access to all the mail at the center. Between September and October of 2023, Ms. Randall stole mail containing checks and gave that mail to Harrison, who opened the mail and then removed the checks. Randall's crime was uncovered. And listen to this story on how, I don't know how much chaos and disruption allegedly that this woman has had in her life, but this is how the crime got uncovered. It wasn't even at her mail center or at her job. Randall's crime was uncovered when her leased Nissan Juke was repossessed for failure to maintain insurance. Now that's weird and almost an oxymoron, because if she stole 89 checks worth almost $400,000, why wouldn't you be able, or why wouldn't you pay your car insurance? The car dealership found Harrison's backpack, which contained an AR-style handgun, cocaine, fentanyl, and loose checks. And they called the St. Charles Police Department. After officers arrived at the dealership, so did Miss Randall, who falsely claimed that she did not handle the mail in her job. She later lied to investigators with the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. Remember, this is all federal. And the U.S. Postal Service Office of Inspector General, that she never drove that Nissan Juke and did not have access to any mail. So then, not only did she allegedly steal these checks, you're talking identity theft, you're talking about lying to federal investigators. This situation turned out to be a big deal. Investigators determined that Miss Randall had stolen 89 checks from the mail that belonged to dozens of victims. They also found one counterfeit check that bore the same bank account and payer information as one of the stolen checks. The total face value of the 90 checks was $369,248. Was it worth it? Miss Randall is scheduled to be sentenced on August the 20th, and Harrison is supposed to be sentenced on June 3rd, coming up in a few weeks. They face a penalty of up to 5 years in prison, a fine of up to $250,000, or both prison and a fine. Was it worth it for $370,000? And now you're going to be a convicted felon. You're going to have theft on your record, and it's going to be hard to get a job after getting sentenced and convicted in this particular situation. The U.S. Postal Inspection Service, the U.S. Postal Service Office of Inspector General, and the St. Charles Police Department investigated the case. Assistant U.S. Attorney Jonathan Clow is prosecuting this case. So here's another case. I try to bring up these cases occasionally by us as human beings making human mistakes and chasing the bag by any means necessary. We're seeing that a lot in today's time. Here again, messing with the mail, even opening someone else's mail, stealing their identity or stealing checks, all federal offenses. The feds are busy, and they're also going after folks with these fake PPP loans during the pandemic. People had fake companies and nonprofit companies, and the government shelled out millions of dollars. And now it's time to pay the piper. The government is doing their auditing, and they are coming after folks for all kinds of schemes and sham games that are going on. It's a stressful time in this world that we live in today, but it's unfortunate. But messing with the mail in any kind of criminal or negative way is a very serious offense, and is definitely a federal offense. Tell me what you think. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth.